Right now, somewhere in the world, a human heart is stopping. For over a century, medicine treated this as the end of the story. Heart stops, blood stops, brain, starved of oxygen, shuts down in seconds. Lights out, nothing left to measure. So what actually happens in the seconds, minutes, and hours after a person dies? That assumption just collapsed. In the last 15 years, two separate lines of research, one studying dying brains, one studying the testimony of people who came back from clinical death, have produced findings that contradict almost everything we thought we understood about the moment of death. Not religious claims, not speculation, published, peer-reviewed neuroscience. Here is what the body does. And then here is the part almost nobody talks about. Clinical death is defined as the moment the heart stops beating, but your cells do not die with it. In 1981, forensic anthropologist William Bass founded the world's first research facility dedicated entirely to documenting human decomposition, informally known as the Body Farm, at the University of Tennessee. Decades of controlled observation there have mapped in precise detail exactly what happens to human tissue after death. The first stage is autolysis, self-digestion. Without blood flow, your cells run out of oxygen. The enzymes that once helped digest your food begin digesting you instead, breaking down cell membranes from the inside. This starts within minutes of death and is completely invisible from the outside. Then come the bacteria. Trillions of them already living inside your gut, no longer held in check by your immune system. They begin consuming the body from within, producing the gases responsible for early bloating. Within 24 to 72 hours, depending on temperature, this becomes visible. Active decay then strips away soft tissue. What remains enters skeletonization, a process that, depending on environment, can take weeks or decades. The calcium and minerals that built your bones return to the soil. The carbon that made up your cells becomes part of new organisms. Nothing is wasted. Every atom that was you continues existing as something else, somewhere else, indefinitely. This is not metaphor. It is biochemistry. You are quite literally going to become part of the world that comes after you. But this only describes the body. It tells us nothing about what, if anything, happens to consciousness in the moments before that. And this is where the science turns genuinely strange. In 2013, neuroscientist Jimo Borjigin at the University of Michigan ran an experiment on dying rats that produced a result nobody expected. Her team monitored brain activity during induced cardiac arrest, anticipating exactly what medical textbooks predicted: a steady decline into electrical silence. That is not what they found. Within seconds of the heart stopping, the rats' brains produced a massive surge of gamma wave activity, the specific frequency associated with conscious perception, memory binding, and heightened awareness in a normally functioning brain. The surge was more organized and more intense than anything recorded during ordinary waking life. The dying brain was not shutting down quietly, it was lighting up. Borjigin published the findings in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences. The scientific community responded the way it usually responds to results this uncomfortable: with skepticism, then with replication. In 2023, her lab confirmed the same phenomenon in human patients. 4 people, removed from life support, showed an identical surge of gamma activity in the brain regions associated with conscious experience. Activity that briefly exceeded waking state levels before fading into permanent silence. The brain's last act may be its most vivid. This connects to something doctors have documented anecdotally for over a century without explanation. It is called terminal lucidity. Patients with advanced dementia who have not recognized their own family for years sometimes experience a sudden and complete return of clarity hours or days before death, speaking coherently, recognizing loved ones, recalling memories assumed lost forever. Researcher Alexander Batthyány has spent years cataloging this phenomenon. It remains one of the least understood events in end-of-life medicine. The brain, even as it fails, appears capable of one final, extraordinary reorganization. But the strangest research comes from people who did not die. People whose hearts stopped completely, clinically dead by every medical definition, and who were resuscitated. In 2014, physician Sam Parnia at NYU Langone Health published the AWARE study, Awareness During Resuscitation, a multi-year investigation into what cardiac arrest patients experience while their hearts have stopped, and their brains, by every conventional model, should be producing nothing. Parnia's team found that roughly 40% of resuscitated patients reported some form of awareness during clinical death. Not vague impressions, specific, structured recollections. In some documented cases, accurate descriptions of events and conversations that occurred in the room while the patient had no measurable brain activity by standard monitoring. In 2023, the follow-up study, AWARE-2, introduced a clinical term that had never existed in medicine before, recalled experience of death. Patients described the experience as distinctly more vivid, more real, and more emotionally significant than ordinary waking consciousness. A sense of clarity, a sense of meaning. Many reported a profound and lasting transformation afterward, reduced fear of death, deeper compassion, a conviction that something important had happened to them, even when they could not fully explain what. Parnia has been careful, in every published paper, not to claim this proves an afterlife. What it suggests, he argues, is almost as strange. Consciousness, or something resembling it, may not switch off the instant the heart stops. The boundary between life and death, the one medicine has used for a century to declare a person gone, may not be a single moment at all. It may be a process, a window, something with structure and duration we are only now learning to measure. So what actually happens when you die? Your cells begin digesting themselves within minutes, a private, invisible dissolution with nothing to do with your awareness of it. Your bacteria, freed from the immune system that once managed them, begin the long work of returning you to the earth. And somewhere in the seconds and minutes after your heart stops, in a window science has only just confirmed exists, your brain may produce one final, extraordinarily organized surge of the exact electrical pattern associated with conscious thought, a last flare before the silence that follows. We do not know what, if anything, is experienced inside that flare. We do not know whether what patients describe as more real than real is the brain manufacturing a final, merciful illusion, or something else entirely that medicine does not yet have the language to name. The scientists who have spent their careers studying this honestly do not know, and the most credible among them say so plainly. What we do know is this. The moment of death is not the clean, instantaneous switch we once assumed. It has stages, it has timing, it has biochemistry, and in at least some documented cases, it has one final, measurable burst of the same activity that makes you who you are right now, reading these words. Your body will become part of the world you leave behind, slowly, atom by atom, indifferent to whether anyone is watching. But in the seconds before that begins, something in your brain may light up one last time, brighter than it has ever burned before. And no one, not yet, can tell you what it sees.